Welcome back to the Dr. Moe Show, Freedom to Shift, where we talk about how we have made a choice to live very intentionally. And today I have Dr. Sassy here, which totally fits with my MO. I love it. I love that name. It is perfect. But I want to hear, before we get into anything else, because we have so many things that I know we can talk about and want to talk about, tell me about your journey in medicine and how it went from essentially point A to point B, because we know we're not at the end. We're nowhere near point Z. So how did your life change from, especially when you went to medical school, went to residency, had this viewpoint of how your life was going to go, and then how it is today?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me on. Super excited to be here with you. I know we've been talking a lot about it, but yeah, so, first of all, in undergrad, I started off, I had no idea that I was going to go to medical school. I essentially started from, maybe I'll be a personal trainer, maybe I will be a physician assistant, maybe I'll be a physical therapist. And then finally, junior year of college, my advisor was like, you should really just apply to medical school. And I didn't think twice about it. I was like, all right, sounds good. And just, took the prereqs, had to do a winter session of orgo. Always fun to do that over a winter session. Just kind of knocked them all out. And then, yeah, I never looked back on medical school from there. I started shadowing people kind of in college. And at that point, I've been an athlete my whole life. I had a lot of injuries, a lot of illnesses that kept me out of sports, kind of kept me out of school for a little bit. So I knew I wanted to do something, sports related, just to kind of help people, things that I was most passionate about. So started following some orthopedic surgeons, and I was like, all right, I'll be, maybe I'll go into ortho surgery. Love it. And then got into medical school. Loved kind of, a lot of different aspects. I love the primary care aspect, but I also love procedures. So I totally fell in love with general surgery, because I'm like, this is so cool. The ortho was also very cool, though. Obviously they're doing a lot more non-invasive stuff now, and I liked, a little bit more of the bigger cuts, which, was cool. But then I started looking at kind of the lifestyles of, the general surgeons versus some of the primary care sports medicine people, which is a field that I found out about in medical school. And I was like, wow, there's a big difference here. And so I loved the primary care standpoint and the continuity of care that I could have with patients, and I absolutely love sports medicine. And the community that I became part of was the primary care sports medicine community, and really did a lot of that in medical school, and then that continued into residency also. So went to family medicine residency, and still love sports medicine, was pretty gung-ho sports at that point. Decided third year to obviously do a sports medicine fellowship. So I finally went out close to West Coast, went to Colorado, fell in love with the state, fell in love with the people. I often still dream about living out there, but my husband and I made the decision to compromise and come back to New Jersey, close to family. So after fellowship, came back to New Jersey. I started my career at a huge ortho group, kind of local to New Jersey, Pennsylvania area. So I was doing 100% sports medicine. Really great way to kind of get my feet wet. Obviously, those first years are pretty wild, as any physician will tell you. And it was just really nice to kind of have a community and supportive network of people that I could curbside at any given second. And I can't imagine starting my career off another way, because just having that support initially was really, really helpful. I was there for 3 years. Totally loved it. I had a really great group, but I knew that's not how I wanted to practice, long term. I knew it was never really a long-term fit for me, just because I need more than 10 to 20 minutes with a patient to really kind of talk to them and get to know them. And while I was there, I also got board certified in lifestyle medicine. So obviously you can't treat somebody's, knee arthritis without talking to them about their lifestyle and what their nutrition looks like, and exercising, and what kind of stress they have, especially if they're there for an injection. So getting all of that in, having the patient get roomed, having all the questions answered within 15 minutes was obviously not sustainable. So another opportunity came up for me to start the medical side of a predominantly PT OT practice, which also had chiropractor, acupuncture. It was just a very integrated system. And I was like, this is awesome. I was like, this seems like my, dream job that I could have for life, right? Just working with really incredible people. Unfortunately, the energy there didn't vibe with my own energy, and it just was really stressful, and it really impacted my quality of life. And I have two really young kids, and like I had zero flexibility, very little autonomy, and I was like, honestly, this is not worth my energy. Like, I can be doing so much more than this, and I value myself so much more than to let somebody else take my energy away.
It's funny that you say that you had no flexibility, no autonomy. You couldn't make choices, right? You couldn't make choices
Right.
on your behalf. And kudos to you, number one, for respecting that and changing. Most people don't. I'm going to tell you right now. This is why I'm like, oh, I know she's my people.
Yeah.
And well, and I can't even say that because I stayed in the same job for 13 years, but about for the last 3, it was like I kept trying to do things and it just nothing would go anywhere.
Yeah.
And but I didn't understand what that felt like.
Yeah.
And protecting that energy is critical.
Yeah, huge. And it's crazy because people will be like, well, did you have anything lined up? And like, I honestly didn't. I just knew that like I couldn't be there for any longer. And like, obviously in medicine, anything is like minimum of 3 months notice. So it's not like I was like picking up and leaving the next day. It's like,
Right.
okay, great. Like I have 3 months or, prior to that, because I had already been thinking about it, to start kind of figuring out my next steps. And so I was like, I know that I can't be here. Now I have the decision. Do I go back to the big ortho group where like things are pretty stable and, I feel comfortable, like it's not a huge change, like I know that I could go back there? Or do I start my own practice and really practice the way that I want to and treat patients the way that they deserve, have the flexibility and like make my own schedule, and obviously challenges that come along with it. But obviously I chose the latter.
Yeah.
And
Kudos, by the way,
once I
because
decided-
that's the courageous choice. That's the courageous choice.
Yes.
It's the scary as hell choice. Okay. Let's be honest. It is the scary as hell
100%.
choice.
Terrifying. Yeah, I mean, you have no idea what you don't know. I think if you
Right.
had asked me in med school, residency, even, my first job, if I was going to be starting my own practice, I would have been like, absolutely not. I have no interest. Like, I just kind of like, you get used to in training having like an administrative assistant, a medical assistant, like having somebody do all these things for you. And I was like, I don't think that thought really ever entered my mind. And then the path just kind of brought me here.
But you had the guts to follow it, which is really important. I mean, I can give docs the framework for starting their own, because I teach very specifically remote ventures, which is either a coaching practice or coaching and telemedicine, because I don't really care what they do, to be honest. I need them to get their voice out, because you knew when you were talking to patients, you wanted to talk to patients. You wanted to it wasn't that you wanted to necessarily even get to know them, which is what you said. You want to impart upon them. You want to have that impact. You can't do that in 10 minutes.
Right.
You just can't. And
Right.
It's a longer term relationship, and it's a relationship. And that's why I think every medical interaction should be backed by coaching of some sort.
Yeah.
Our patients don't want it sometimes. So, I'm finding ways, but this is the private practice part. You find ways to get it into their world. So you just at least open the door. So like, because we have patients who come to me, because we're remote in telemedicine, patients are just like, I just want a prescription and that's it. Don't bug me. Well, this also comes with 3 PDFs, which is my mini course on lifestyle, by the way.
Yes.
Feel free to read.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I think that's huge. And I think, going back to lifestyle medicine, what I love so much about it is like trying to introduce these like micro changes to people's lifestyles. And so, what I always tell people when I'm describing what I do is like, instead of you going to your doctor's office and your doctor being like, you need to lose weight or you need to start exercising and leave it at that, right? A patient leaves and they're like, awesome. What do I do with that information? Because there's like a million people out there. There's a million of these like diets. People are saying so many different things. I don't know who to trust. And it's so overwhelming. And like, even me as a physician who is like interested in this realm, right? Like sees all this stuff out there and like have patients telling me all this stuff, and like, it's super overwhelming. And so I break these things down for them into these like really tiny little things that they can change to their day to start building these healthier habits, but things that are like very specific and realistic for them, so that they can then achieve those goals, and they come back and they're like, I did it. And I'm like, yeah, of course you did it. And they're like so bored, right? And like once they start there, it's like then they gain their trust in you and they're like, all right, like let's do this. Like let's work together and do this.
And you're their co-pilot. I mean, that's the thing. You can't make them change. And it's so funny because you're speaking and I'm thinking, oh, geez, this is exactly what I do with my doctors too. I realize I do it with my patients, but then I'm like, oh, I do it with my doctors.
But that's
because
perfect.
because we want success. We want to feel like we have the ability to make a difference in our own lives.
Right.
And that relationship, that co-pilot, it's great. Like because we can't make people change. I mean, I'm a people pleaser. So my whole life has been trying to make people happy or make them change. So it's like, I finally realized, and it got, people will tell you entrepreneurship is the best personal development tool out there.
Yeah.
Because it's like holding this mirror in front of your face that it's not pretty. It is not pretty. You're like, oh, wow, I do that. I did that over and over again. How about we not do that again? Because it just cost me $100,000.
Right. Yeah, it's wild. It's been a totally wild ride, but I would say, with the challenges, it has just been like exponentially rewarding. I mean, from every aspect of the interactions I can have with my patients, one, like from clinical patient care, getting them in within a day or two, like having longer visits with them, giving them options, like, really hearing them out, to like getting out and marketing and meeting people in the community, and like all of these incredible people who are doing amazing things and are so supportive that I like never knew anything about, and my paths probably would have never crossed if I hadn't been, getting out there.
It's a very good point that entrepreneurship can get damn lonely. It can get, because you're sitting there, you're in your office with your numbers, maybe your assistant, and you're like, okay, so I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah.
And when you get out there and you realize whether it's a virtual community or in person or both, right? I prefer both because I like, I do actually like humans most days, despite the fact of sometimes I'm just done peopling. I'm not going to lie. It's that combo. It's that you have to get into bigger rooms. It's funny that I talked to a marketing agent on the last podcast from Contente, and they do content for mostly in-person practices.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, in your area. And it just dawned on me. I'm like, I'm going to write an intro just because the way it's funny, but I would never have put those two together. I mean, I knew Damien. I've known Damien for a year in a coaching group. And then I'm talking to you and you're like, you're in New Jersey. And I'm like, you are not, because they show you how to get your voice out there. And I'm like, yeah. There it is. And same group that I met him in, I met another one of my coaches who's actually, he's a non-medical founder, but he's been in telemedicine spaces for about 15 years. So he builds huge practices. I mean, like, I'm a teeny tiny little, we'll call it a boutique practice because it makes it sound better that we're just, I mean, in the whole scheme of things, I'm not hims and hers, that's for sure. We also do things very differently than hims and hers.
Yeah.
But this guy was in this group with me, online group, 1,000 people. And I happened to see he lives 10 minutes from me. We're actually going to do an in-person event for physicians.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, but you don't know that until you start getting in the rooms. You start getting in the rooms with physicians, physician coaches, direct DPC providers, because in the lifestyle medicine space, my whole life is like this Venn diagram, because we've got the business coaches. And then you've got the direct care space, whether it's primary care or lifestyle medicine or concierge medicine, same thing.
Yeah.
We're stepping out of the system. We're stepping off of the Titanic because we know we know how that ends.
Right.
But there's plenty of room in the lifeboat. So why don't we go over here?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think it's just, staying so open-minded, right? And treating every conversation and every person as a new opportunity. I think just like going 100% in, and you're just like, I'm not going to turn down, any meeting or anything, because one, I just want to get to know people, and you never know who that person knows. And, when you live in a smaller community, it's like the network is like, oh yeah, of course I know that person, especially when you're in like this health and wellness community. It's like everyone, there's a connection everywhere. And so I think that's huge. I mean, and I teach a fitness class actually at a local gym in in Princeton where I live, and like I've been there since October, and it's just once a week, but getting to know people in that community has been so amazing. I mean, one, they're awesome people, but it's like, yeah, you then just start meeting all these other people, and it's so fun.
And I can't agree more. And that's an interesting caveat, is that this is not your normal, it's not your expected marketing, right? We're not talking about marketing. We're talking about being ourselves, showing up in our skin, showing up face forward, being willing to fall on it. And just, but meeting people and just saying, wow, this is awesome. And it might be something even as innocuous as, oh, I have a dog walking service. Oh my God, I would love that, because I know my dog needs to get walked more. Like things like that where, but what does that do is that nurtures their business, nurtures their life, because that's what they do. Nobody forms a dog walking business because it's a traditional career path. Okay.
Right.
So I don't know. Nobody went to school for this, but we do it because we love it. Right. And that's how you can tell that, like, you can tell your energy, and you protected it. God love you. Yeah. You protected that, and your energy comes across to every patient interaction, every human interaction that you have. If you had stifled that, let's take a different route. If you had stifled that and stayed in either opportunity, now that both opportunities that you had gone through were very good. Yeah. But if you had stayed there, it would have dimmed your light.
Totally. And I think kind of going back to like presenting your true self is like, that is what I love, right? And like, yes, I could do that a little bit in my other practices, but like, I truly feel like what I'm doing now, and like doing some kind of like all these other things on the side, like, teaching this fitness class, is like, I also like am in workout clothes. I am, like blasting some of my favorite music, and I'm pretty much dancing the entire class while I'm having people do like burpees and kettlebell swings and things where they're like dying, but like that's who I am, and like that is my energy, and like what just like makes me vibe. And like the fact that people like it, I'm like, there's no like fakeness here. And like I think that when you can be your true self, regardless of like if you're in the office or like outside of the office, it's like that is what keeps you going, right? When it's like you constantly feel like you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to see patients in the grocery store. Like I see 100 patients a day. I don't even remember who that is. Like that's my biggest fear. Whereas like now I'm like, yeah, sure. Like I love seeing people out in the community, even like if I'm with my kids, if I'm going for a run, like whatever I'm doing, I'm just like, yeah, because I love being out there. I love what I do. And like, I'm happy to show that to everybody.
That's incredible, because physicians as a whole, what I've seen, the vast majority of them is, I'll take Instagram as an example. One of the tactics in business, there's a lot of business tactics that, take what you like and leave the rest. This is one I don't employ, because it feels sleazy, and I don't do things that feel sleazy. Yeah. That was college. Just kidding. Sort of. Maybe we'll get that edited out. Maybe we won't. It depends. But when you get on Instagram, and 75% of the doctors I come across do not say they're a doctor in their profile. And somebody asked me, do you think it's because of litigation? I said, no, we're hiding. Because you don't want to, you're peopled out. You don't want people to ask you, what about this rash? You don't want people to always be asking you for things because you have nothing to give, because you're friggin' exhausted. You're out there dancing. Now, if one of your patients goes to your exercise class, you're like, good on you. Great.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not like you're saying, I don't want my worlds to mix.
Yes.
You're like, no, I am Dr. Sassy. God, I love that, by the way. I am Dr. Sassy, and this is who I am. This is who I show up as, and that's it.
Yeah. And it's funny because with like the whole Sassy thing, so like, obviously, I've gone by Sassy almost my entire life, probably since I was like 4 or 5. That being said, when you get to medical school, when you get to residency, when you're introducing yourself to attending physicians and all this, it's like, I'm obviously going to go by Sarah. Like I wasn't even like, I had to put Sarah on my white coat in residency because it's way more official. So like, even like entering my first job, my colleagues usually, most of them were okay with Sassy, but like you have certain generations and genders that weren't as okay. Yes. Yeah. And they were like, I'm not calling you Sassy. And I'm like, that's fine. Like you can call me whatever you want. And like, I've gotten very used to it. And until maybe like 3 months ago, that's when I changed like my Instagram officially and like added it to my website. Nice. And I was like, you know what? Like I go by Sassy to like also like my whole gym class I teach. And like when I go introduce myself to a lot of other places, I introduce myself as Sassy. So I'm like, one, this is probably now confusing for patients. But two, this is also like who I am. And so like, I'm just gonna embrace this totally. And we're gonna go with it because like, it's been so many years that I'm like, I don't need everything to say like Dr. Sarah Weinstein. Like, yes, that is my official name and I'm fine if you want to call me that. But you know, I do usually go by Sassy and I think it's fine.
I agree 100%. And I'll tell you a good business coach thing that I've gotten is that you are your personal brand, right? Anyone who's on social media knows we're supposed to do this personal brand. Well, I hate to tell you, it's not something you do. It is somebody you are. And when I get med students or pre-meds who will message me on Instagram and stuff, they're so cute. I love you all. I do. And you're actually the ones I want to hit because they'll say, Dr. Gibbons. I'm like, don't you even. Yeah. I mean, I don't even put it out there. Like I had to use Dr. Moe Gibbons on my Instagram because somebody took Dr. Moe already. And the funny part is there's about 6 Dr. Moes out there. There's one in real estate. There's actually one, I think Digital Nomad might be Dr. Moe. I think his name's Mohammed. And it's not technically exclusive, right?
Yeah.
But I actually just trademarked it.
Wow.
And you know why? By the way, I didn't trademark it for me. I'm never going to fight for this. I'm Dr. Moe. You know this. If you know me, I'm obnoxious. I'm a bitch. It's who I am. I get snarky. It is what it is. I try not to be as bitchy as I am in my head. It usually works. God, I hope that gets edited out.
Sometimes it doesn't.
And now it won't just because I said it. But like, this is me, flaws and all. And that's how I show up. And when the med students are like, Dr. Gibbons, and I'm like, oh yeah. And you know, what do they always ask? So I'm going to bring this to you. They always ask, do you still think I should go into medicine? And I'm always like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
To me, that's a no-brainer. This is a dream.
And and it's funny because my family physician growing up, you know, he was in kind of that group that like when they started off, like even primary care, like they were doing amazing, right? And then like they went through the whole transition and he's like, it's not worth it anymore. Like I don't recommend that anybody go into medicine. And I think I was maybe still in college, but when people ask me, I'm just like, yeah, like I cannot imagine doing anything else. I had a college student actually shadowing me 2 days ago in the office, and I was talking about, you know, osteopathic schools and just medicine in general, and I'm like, I can't imagine doing anything else. Sure, it's hard, and like, sure, did I maybe miss some things in my 20s, but like, I don't regret any of it, and like, I am doing what I love doing, and there's nothing else to that.
And you can do it now when you're exposed to people like you and me, you can do it the way you want to do it. However you want to do that. I mean, if that's literally, because, you know, in emergency medicine, they don't know same thing in primary care. If you have an office day, 1 day a week, they don't know how many days you work in office. They only know how, like, they're there for that appointment. In emergency medicine, they don't know if it's your first shift or your 10th.
Right.
Like, they have no idea. They just know, listen, I need something. Can you help me? And that's really anything in any profession, right?
Right.
I talk to doctors because that's what I know.
Yeah.
And in any profession, when I go to my accountant, I don't know how many clients he has. I only need to know that he can help me.
Right.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And you can do this in any way, shape, or form. And even if you're not in the hospital, and I know this because my son asked me.
Yeah.
He asked me when I changed everything inadvertently, whole thing by accident. He said, are you really still a doctor because you don't go to the hospital? And thank goodness it was a year and a half into my journey. So I had done a ton of soul searching, which is why I started coaching physicians very specifically in this, because that's a damn good question, isn't it? Are you still a doctor if you don't do things in that traditional way? That's almost like saying those, you know, Dr. Sassy, are you still a doctor if you're not in a white coat? If you're in gym clothes, are you still a doctor?
Right.
The answer is hell yes.
Yeah.
I'm always a doctor. I believe I've earned it, to quote a few good men.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, no, I totally agree on all of that.
Yeah, that and that identity shift is painful. It's real.
Yeah. I mean,
and it takes guts.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think, especially like when I started at my big ortho group, it was a known thing, right? It's like you're part of this big system, this big group, and you're like with all the other physicians, and it just looks normal. Whereas then you go off on your own, and even at my second job, when I was the only physician in the practice, I still often felt like I was treated more like one of the physical therapists, which I was, was part of the draining part of it. But now I can just totally be who I want to be, and show people, yes, I can be a physician, I can be a fitness coach, I can be, someone in the community, and I can all of that.
And there's plenty of room for that, because a lot of people would look at your life and say, how do you do it all? I can barely do medicine. What would you tell them?
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, I think about that every day. And I would say, some things have to take the back burner, right? And you just have to think about what really are your top priorities. And for me, my family comes first, always. And so my two young kids, they're 2 and just turned 4. And like, I want to be there for them and like spend quality time with them. And if they have an event at school or they have something that's important to them, I want to be able to get to that, because I know that that's important. And so like, I've been able to do that this past year, and like that kind of stuff makes me so happy, and obviously makes them so happy, because yes, I'm gonna miss stuff, and yes, I'm not gonna be there at certain times, and that's fine. But at least having the flexibility to choose and be there when I want to be and when they want me to be is really important. And then you got to offload some tasks also. I mean, like there's certain things that I don't care as much about at home, and like I'm happy to have somebody else do them. And I'm pretty upfront with that stuff now. And, I've had so many conversations with my husband, who's also a physician, and I'm like, I can't do it all. I cannot do it all. I cannot do everything at home. I can't do everything at work. I can't grow my business while I'm trying to do all this other stuff. And, I think having a support network and having people that you trust to be able to offload some of these tasks is so important, because in truth, you cannot do everything under the sun that you want to do. So you need to think on, a daily to weekly to monthly to yearly basis, what you do want to do and what you do want to be present for, and focus on those things, and then figure out how those other things are going to get done.
I cannot. I mean, I want to applaud, because Dan Martell is my primary coach, because I talk about him all the time.
Yeah.
And he'll tell you, and I tell my clients the same thing. Take what I teach you and please teach other people. Like, none of this is new. None of this is really proprietary. And he wrote a book called Buy Back Your Time.
Yeah.
And he wrote it, I think, 2 years ago now. And I was like, why did you not write this 3 years ago when I was starting my business? Because I really needed it.
Yeah.
And it's funny, because we really needed it 30 years ago. I mean, I unpacked a box from this closet that's right next to me that had a wedding picture in it that I packed when we moved from medical school.
Yep.
Because that's what happens. And I had a comment on the internet, keyboard warriors and all, that it said, well, I bet you took terrible care of your patients if you weren't paying attention to your finances. And I was like, no, the reason why I didn't do that, because I was busy taking care of my patients. Like medicine's the only career where you sacrifice your health for somebody else's.
Right.
And so your husband's a physician. Does he still work full time in a traditional environment?
Yes. So he also was, he was hospital based, pretty much up until a year and a half ago, where he kind of hit a similar, he was burning out. If not, he was like burnt out. And he's an interventional radiologist. So like, usually they are in a hospital system, and he was taking call like every other week, and his calls were draining, right? And it was like 7 days on. And so like he was constantly getting contacted. He was constantly going in, and it was like really impacting him, like his quality of life. And I could see that. And I'm like, something has to change, because it's affecting you. It's, it's affecting the family. And like and our kids were like, obviously like much smaller then too. And he is the kind of person like, he is like wants to be there for his family. And like, that is like his true joy, while also like loves medicine too. So he did decide to leave the hospital system and went to a private practice, and where he was treated, respectfully, and, he was able to have more flexible time, a little bit longer commute. But when you're treated with respect, it changes
it's a game changer.
Everything. Right. Changes everything. And so he is like so much happier now. Like he's spending so much more time at home being present, you know, with the kids. Like he doesn't take real call anymore where he's like going into the hospital. And that's been a game changer.
That's incredible. A lot of the docs that I talk to on this podcast, I got one coming up, I think it's tomorrow. Well, it doesn't come out until July, but it's a lot of people do locums, right? Because we choose to,
Yes.
and it's the treated with respect. It's the flexibility. I mean, I talked to a woman very high up in a specialty organization who left her job of 20 years that she absolutely loved because of family, right? And that's what it always comes down to at the end is we start to realize, I mean, I'm 51 years old. I start to realize I'm over halfway there. What am I going to do with this one precious life? And that one precious life, and in emergency medicine, I mean, it's thrown in your face all the time, right?
Yes.
You know that it might be ending tomorrow. What are you going to do with your one precious day?
Right. Right.
You know, and it makes me emotional to think about that because we can't live in that space. It's a heavy place to live. But with your husband especially, and I talk about my husband's emergency medicine, and he is still full time, and he changed jobs about, I guess, 2 years ago now, and complete game changer. But the way the group is run, and I can see the difference. There are 3 big hospitals in my area, and I've got to see, I mean, I love my hospital. He has worked, he's never worked at my hospital. He's worked at the other 2.
Yeah.
And well, there's actually, his first one was about 20 minutes north, but literally within a 2-mile radius, we have 3 huge hospitals.
Yeah.
And I love my hospital, but I've seen the difference between his hospital group that he left 2 years ago and the way he's treated at this one.
Yeah.
And it's not just him, right? It's a culture.
Right, right. And when you are working in an environment that is supportive and like nurturing for your success clinically, but also at home, it's like, wow, these people like actually want me to live a good life, right? And so, yeah, I mean, I think sometimes when you think about like, oh my gosh, yeah, this life is really short, and I mean, we see stuff all the time about really crazy stuff like, you know, plane crashes and all that stuff, and it's like, you do keep being brought back to like, I want to make sure that I'm taking advantage of this, and I don't want to be in my 60s and like one of these physicians that has worked, you know, grinding it for how many years, and then they, you know, get to retirement and they're like, well, now I can spend time with people and like do the things that I love. It's like, no, like do this younger, like start. And so like, if I can teach that to anybody who is entering medicine, to just like try to find what you love doing, and like, yes, financially you need to, you know, support yourself and support your family, but finding something that you love doing and not settling is so important. And I feel like I can't say that enough, because life is too short and you do need to love what you're doing and like make sure that you're hitting your priorities, whether it's spending more time with your family or traveling or, you know, whatever you want to be doing, like making sure that you have time for that is so important.
Absolutely. And, you know, like what you said about the finances, money does matter. I mean, like no matter how you slice it. And I can't reiterate that enough, because I feel like we don't talk about it in medicine.
Yeah.
And here's the kicker. You can monetize just about anything. I mean, because there is someone out there who needs to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, I was talking to a very, very good friend of mine in the gym parking lot probably 10 years ago, because it was when kind of social media just started doing its thing, and which is probably longer than 10 years ago. But you know what I'm saying? It was at most 15, because that's when I moved here. And we were talking, and she looked at me. We're standing outside of her car, because I can remember it like it was yesterday. And she said, "Do you know that there are women on the internet that make 30 grand a month putting on makeup?" And I went, "What?"
Yeah.
Like my world just fell apart. Like, I have $200,000 in student lones.
Yep.
I'm busting my ass, and I love nights. I work nights. I only work nights when I work in the ER. This is you know this. As doctors, anyone listening that's a doctor, you know there are night people and there are day people.
Yeah.
And she told me this, and I thought, how the hell is that possible? And now my standing joke. And so that's what the funny thing is, that's part of what I do, is I joke that if we sit down and have a cup of coffee, I can give you 3 ways to monetize your voice by the time we're done. It's just how my brain works. I was at the dentist yesterday, and she's talking to me, and she's saying how hard it is to be a solo practice, how hard it is to manage her mindset that she needs the income that's traditional, but she's a solo practice. She's 10 years out, and she said to me, "Well, I'm only 10 years out, so I'm not burnt out." I'm like, "You're going to be. And the best time to grow is when you don't have to. So why don't you spend time now, invest in learning this new skill?
Yeah.
Because you know you can learn skills. We're all smart, right? You got through
Yeah.
medical school, you got through dental school,
Yep.
veterinary school. Like even because I'm realizing a lot more high-level professionals are trickling in and hearing this. Like it's the
Yeah.
same message, guys. I might be talking to doctors, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And somebody needs you. And you know who that is? It's you. When you were in college and your
Yeah.
primary care doctor told you that you shouldn't go into medicine, your brain, imagine if you had someone who said, but why though? Because if you fix the why,
Yeah.
then you fix the problem.
Right.
And if you maintain, because you're not saying make sure you have a good golf game. You get it. You absolutely have hobbies because that's like
Yeah.
life.
Yes.
But imagine if you could blend the two and
Right.
make money helping other people get better. Wow. Novel, right? Because in medicine,
Yeah.
you're supposed to not do that. You're supposed to, we don't care about the money. We're just here,
Right.
we're just,
To make people feel better. Yeah.
yeah, right? But what
Yeah.
if you could do both? Because people don't pay if people don't pay, they don't pay attention.
Right.
100%. And in medicine, we're expected to give everything for free, but where has that gotten in large scale patient behavior change?
Yeah.
When you give them something, they're not invested.
Right.
When you do things the way you do in your practice, you're like, no, we're doing this together. Let's go.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Accountability. Right.
And why have accountability when you're just going to treat my CHF exacerbation one more time?
Yeah. Exactly. And I think that, and that's what's so different about kind of having the kind of practice I have is that person who is not motivated to change and who I, saw when I was in residency, who's got chronic diabetes, and I would have the same conversation every single visit and would be the same conversation again and no changes were made. That person is not going to come see me right now. And that person is probably never going to come see me. But when you have somebody who is more invested and they value the type of care that you are providing them, that's when you start to really move the needle and make changes. But there's got to be a little bit of investment within that.
And those are your people, right?
100%.
And the cool thing is that diabetic with 14 complications might hit a point where they're like, I saw this doctor once.
Yeah. Yes.
And Dr. Sassy's going to be in the back of their mind. And they're going to be like,
Yeah.
I think she's still around. I wonder if she could help me.
Yeah. Yeah, if I can just always be this little voice in people's head when they're like grocery shopping, and like looking at products and like reading labels, and like people will be like, well, what would Dr. Sassy do? Like, that's my goal. People my goal is to teach people so that they don't need me anymore and they can, function and be super healthy and make really good choices without me, but like constantly be referring back to things that, I've said in the past. That's like my ultimate goal.
100%. The same way, I want to my goal is to help 1,000 physicians rewrite their story.
Yeah.
Not all at the same time.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. This is like, I am human, but I want to be that person where you think about 5 years down the road and you're like, holy shit, she was right. Where the hell is she? I want to be the one that pops in the back of people's heads going, I know she can help me. Let's do this.
Yes. And
because
and even
they're
now,
not
like
ready.
Exactly. Even now, some of the best phone calls that I get from patients or like new patients are people that saw me 5 years ago, when I was at my first job, and they're like, I remember you. I was trying to figure out where you went. I called the place and they said you don't work there anymore. And I, was Googling and I finally found you. And I'm like, that to me is like one of the best feelings. It's like, all right, they put in like active thought and they like remembered the care they got, even though like to me back then it was like 20 minutes of my time. I was like probably doing an injection or procedure or, just speaking to them. But I think that just like the way that you treat patients and like the things that you tell them, it sticks, right? And so like, you never know what somebody needs to hear. And I think just being that supportive person and being kind and being compassionate and listening to them is something that people never forget. And I like just saw something on Instagram, which I reposted, and about being kind, right? It's like, you never know what somebody is going through. So just be kind, because like, even if stuff looks good on the outside, right? Like everybody has things that are going on. Like life is not super smooth for anybody, right? And so being kind and just like being a good person is is like what matters the most. And people remember that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you are exhausted and depleted as a physician,
Yeah.
it's real hard to be kind. Because
100%.
if you're sure as shit not being kind to yourself,
Yeah.
you're not going to be kind to anybody else.
Yeah.
You can't. And that's not even, I'm not even putting those doctors down. I know. I didn't
Yeah.
think I was even burned out. That's the funny part, right?
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
see it. I thought I was fine
Yeah.
until I slowed down. I thought, oh, dude, this was bad.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's hard to see kind of when you're in the thick of it. And I, there's so many physicians that are in that space right now, right? And whether they know it or whether they don't know it, it's like, we all need help, right? And yeah, we all need help, whether,
let's just stop there. Let's just stop right there. We all need help.
We all need help. Just like remembering that. And like, yeah, even as physicians, I feel like patients sometimes just think like physicians always live this amazing life, and we don't, right? It's, there are certainly challenges, and I feel I'm really lucky to be in a space where I am right now, and that I just truly appreciate where I am.
It's not luck. You created it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little bit of luck. Don't get me wrong, right?
It's
It's a nice combo, but
yeah.
shoot, is it Thomas Jefferson? I'm gonna butcher whoever the quote is, but I find that the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So yeah, I don't know who it was, but
yeah, it's a good quote though.
It is, and I mean that's the thing, and it's staying in that space. It's staying in that energetic space where you are grateful for everything you have.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's one of the daily non-negotiables for my clients. And I always want to make it a daily non-negotiable for my patients, but my patient population as a whole is not quite there yet.
Yeah.
But for my coaching clients and my one-on-ones, you have to do a gratitude practice every day. I don't care if it's meditating on it or writing it down, but it's got, and I've done mine every day since 2010. Yeah. I write down 5 things I'm grateful for, and I include a picture.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's nice.
Nothing. And sometimes, oh man.
Do you draw the picture?
No. It's always one I take from my phone. No, that's way beyond what I'm willing to invest at this point.
Yeah.
No, that would actually, that's a good idea. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm like, Now you got me thinking.
Yeah.
See, this is why these talks are good.
Yeah, but no, I totally do it. I think gratitude, and I think it's probably been 5 or 6 years since I've been doing it, and I tell every single patient, and I talk about it when I give talks, and even on the worst of days, there are 3 things, and like my number is 3. There's 3 things that you can find that went well. It could be as simple as like, oh, I had hot water in my shower this morning, or like the sun finally came out today, to like bigger things, right? But people, I feel like, get it in their head that's like, well, like I don't have all these things. It's like, you don't have to make this complicated. Like, think about your day. Like, one, it's reflective, right? So like, go through your day.
How often does coffee make that list? A lot.
Yes, exactly.
See, there we go. So, we'll do the thumbs up.
Thumbs up. So yeah, super, super important. I think a gratitude practice is essential.
Yep, and there are certain things that should be non-negotiable. It's gratitude practice. It's moving every day. I don't know why if you're on YouTube watching, go to watchdrmo.com. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, because I keep doing the thumbs up thing. And it's the only thing that I don't get confetti or the fun things. Like on my patient lives, all my nurse practitioners always get these, they get confetti, they get fireworks, and I'm always me with my little thumbs up, and that's all you get. Sorry. But there are critical things that I don't care who you are, you've got to do every day.
Yes.
And it is, but again, it's micro change, whether you're a doctor, whether you're a patient, because we're all patients. Like you said, we all need help.
Yeah.
That's why I'll never hire a coach who doesn't have a coach.
Yeah.
Because I need someone, I don't want to be limited, right? Nobody wants to be limited, but I need more input. And I do limit myself to 3 coaches. So I've technically had to call one of my coaches a collaborator.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I'm like, oh, we're doing a little too much here. We're doing it because inbound, right? How much information can you take in? You need to have output.
Right.
Because that's what, as doctors, I'm like, no, I can get another certificate to put on my wall. Great. But you don't need wallpaper. You need to have impact.
Yes, exactly. And just like, I kind of think figuring it out is the biggest hurdle. It's just figuring out how to make that impact. And I'm still in the very beginning. I'm like, I'm still so fresh and learning so much, and there's so much more I need to learn. And that's why I think we'll continue talking.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. But for today, I'm going to respect the listeners' time and yours. So if people are in your area or in your virtual space, where do they find you?
Yeah, so my website is www.coresportsmedicine.com. My Instagram is at Dr. Sassy Weinstein, and Facebook page is just Core Sports Medicine.
Awesome. Perfect.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for your time. I am absolutely certain that we will be in touch and you will be on again.
Yep.
So we will talk
great.
soon.
Thanks so much for having me. Enjoy the day.